I'm Kim Eddleston with FamilyBusiness.org, and today I'm with Mitzi Perdue, who's the widow of Frank Perdue, and her dad was the co-founder of Sheraton Hotels and was also the president. Thank you for being with me, Mitzi.
My joy, thank you.
And today we're going to talk about her amazing book, How to Communicate Values to Children So They'll Love It. So what inspired you to write this book?
You know, if I'm somebody who believes in persuasion, I'm somebody who believes in embedding the culture, why not start young? And so I've lost track. I think it's about 12 years ago, maybe it's 15 years ago. I started a quarterly newsletter, and it was pitched at kids. And the entire point of each newsletter was to instill a value. And I'll share with you one of them. It was one of the first. And that is, it's really important for kids to learn from the youngest age to be frugal. Because if you don't instill that, guess what happens? The wealthy family or the middle class family, the kids get some money, they spend it, the family doesn't last to the next generation. Our job is stewardship, to hand what we have on to the next generation in better shape than we got it. But in any case, there's a lot known about how to persuade people. So I have a newsletter in which I interview one of the oldest members of the family, great-grandmother, Mommy Do. Every Thanksgiving should make her wonderful buttermilk biscuits. Should whip up the batter, take a baking sheet, cover it with aluminum foil, drop the biscuits on top of the aluminum foil, bake it, remove the biscuits, and then comes the interesting part. There's that aluminum foil left over. Should scrape the crumbs off and wash it with soap and water, dry it, and reuse it. And the point of that story is that the kids would learn that we're an ecological family. We don't waste. Stories are important, but you can make them infinitely, or I'm exaggerating, you can make them much more impactful if you combine them with an activity. Well, every one of the newsletters has with it a gift box. And inside it, in the case of Mommy Do's biscuits, there will be a plastic bag with the ingredients for Mommy Do's biscuits, a chef's toque, a chef's smock, and a piece of aluminum foil. The kids get to make Mommy Do's biscuits, and they're delicious. So, it's an enjoyable activity for the kids. And kids love to wear costumes, and they get to talk with their grown-up about what it was like to eat Mommy Do's biscuits, and then emphasize that we're a frugal family, we don't waste. But I'm guessing, or the feedback that I get, even from the kids, that this is really important to them. It makes them feel special. It makes them know who they are.
So why is it so important that children learn these stories of their families and the history?
Their families who've built something just wonderful, and their kids want nothing to do with it. It happens over and over again. And I'm totally on board with the idea that, somebody who wants to be a musician or an artist just doesn't want to go manage a business. I feel there's a terrible gap between the many cases where the child would have loved to get into it, the parent would have loved the child to get into it, but no effort was ever put into teaching the kid from the youngest age, hey, this is exciting. This is fun. Come see daddy or mommy at work. Like we're in the chicken business. The kids get to see the hatcheries, and they get to play with little baby chicks, or they get to see really cool stuff like distribution centers where there are all these fantastic huge computers and overhead lines. It's sort of like a mini Amazon almost. If the kid doesn't learn from a young age that it's fun, they may just never even think of it. Too often around the dinner table, daddy or mommy's talking about this terrible thing that went on at work today. And the kids, if they only hear the rotten, terrible stuff, they're not going to be excited to take this on. It's fine to let them know the downside, but be sure to let them know the upside too.
How can grandparents ensure that the next generation is raising their kids with those strong values?
The grandparents can send out these treasure chests, and the book that I have It will tell you, how to get all the ingredients in it. It will give a template for, each lesson that you want to learn. There's a story that's in the book, and it has to do with the value of learning about science. But the way of teaching it is, I'm holding up here, you're looking at a Petri dish. A Petri dish is a plastic thing that's got a growth medium on it. And what the kids are invited to do is they're invited to take a swab, like a Q-tip. And I'm going to open one right now to show you what I'm talking about. You're looking at a Q-tip. The kids are given like 4 of these, and they're invited to do things like take mommy's iPhone and rub the buttons that you press, and then put it on, roll it on the surface of the growing medium. They get to wear a scientist's cap. They get to wear goggles. They also have gloves when they do this. And the end result is that 3 or 4 days later, they get to see stuff grow. But it's getting them to know, that science is kind of exciting, and you can see for yourself things that happen.
And then finally, before we go, what's the best advice you've ever received for raising children?
You're the parent. You're not their best friend. You're there to use your wisdom, your knowledge to guide them into the best possible life. And a kid who has characteristics that, like whining or demanding or just being difficult, that kid's going to have trouble the rest of his or her life. You're not doing them any favors by putting up with nonsense. I don't want to be naive and think that that's true for all parents in all cases, but entertain the idea that even the kid who's saying, "Mommy, I hate you," doesn't really, and that you have much more impact on them than you know.
Thank you so much. Again, this is Kim Eddleston with Mitzi Perdue.